I found it.
It's okay. Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
it. Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. Perfect. Yeah, it was just hiding from me. So anyway, back to our story. So we're going to share with you the process to help you demonstrate value of your programs and projects, whatever those programs and projects might be. So as part of the session, we're also going to share with you some resources. Someone trust that you can see that. Perfect. So a variety of resources. So Andy's got a QR code on the screen. I don't know, Andy, if you have an easy link, you can pop in the chat for people to access those resources. But one of the documents here is called the alignment conversation. So this is a good document because it is going to cover and provide some of the key questions that you want to ask up front before ever investing in a solution. So the idea is that you're aligning your solutions to the problems or opportunities that the organization is facing. And there's a conversation that you want to have with people to ensure you're getting all the questions answered so that you can build it out to achieve the results you want to achieve. But what this also does, it helps ensure the evaluation process is smooth and easy as possible. Another document is the ROI methodology, 12 steps. We say 12 easy steps to ROI. This is going to describe in more detail the process that I'm talking about today. We are sharing with you some case studies from our case study book, Value for Money. This is our teaching book, our teaching case study book. We use this case study book in all of our certifications, but we're sharing with you 3 case studies. One case study is a simple sales training case study. Another is a case study that I'm going to walk you through today is a healthcare, it's a part of a culture change, but it's a healthcare organization. And they were facing some, it was a hostile work environment. And so they created some change there. So we're just going to do a little math problem with that. That's there. And then also a leadership study. It's called Nations Hotel. It's actually executive coaching. And then if there's other topics you're interested in, please pop those topics in the chat. And Andy will see if we have a case study that we can share and add to the portal. You also get a copy of the slides. And again, if you hear anything else that I mentioned, we'll be happy to share it in this portal. Okay, so our first question. So Kamal, did you get the poll questions?
I can enter to the poll now.
Let's enter to the poll because I just want to know from you, how are you currently measuring program success now? And this should be in a select all type poll.
Can you see them?
Yes. So, okay, this is not, you know what? This is not the poll.
Oh, it's not the one, but
no, but that's a good poll though.
Okay. Okay, just
okay. Let's go ahead and answer this poll, and then we're just going to we're going to do mine. Don't worry about my poll. We're going to use chat. I want to engage with everyone anyway. All right. Have you heard of the ROI methodology? A bunch of you have. Do you plan to attend certification course this year? Oh, great, guys. This is wonderful. You'll really like the certification process because you are actually applying this content that we're talking about today. You apply it to an actual project. So it's a good process. So, all right. So there's our responses there. So thank you very much. So now what I really want to know is what you guys think about here. So in the chat, don't worry about the poll, Kamal. In the chat, everyone, if you will just take a look at the slide on the screen and tell me in the chat, how are you currently measuring program success? Are you reporting how many people attend? Are you capturing reaction? Are you measuring what people learn? Are you measuring how they apply it? Are you collecting data around barriers and enablers? Maybe you're measuring the impact, the ROI, or maybe you're not doing any of it now. So just in summary, tell me what you're doing. So, okay, great, thank you. You're focused on those key performance indicators, the KPIs, wonderful. Anyone else? KPIs, okay. Now, when you talk about KPIs, okay, before and after training, perfect, KPIs. So it's all impact. So you're getting to the impact. Now, when you measure KPIs, are you isolating the effects of the program on improvement in those KPIs? Or is it just monitoring KPIs? So we've got some objectives, perfect. Those OKRs are so important, okay. Good, thank you. So we've already got some ROI working there. Anyone else? So I'm curious, the impact assessment framework. Can you pop in the chat just a little bit more, or if you want to open up your mic? What is the impact assessment framework? Just curious. Wonderful, thanks, Nadia. Monitor KPI with the target. Wonderful. Yeah, you've got the targets are so important too, right? Because you don't know how you're doing unless you're comparing to something else. All right, great. Perfect. Thank you so much. So as all of you know, there are many ways we can demonstrate program success. There's what we call level 0 data. Level 0 data does not represent results. It just represents the extent to which you are actively developing people or actively involving people in a program or project. So it's the number of people, the number of programs, the amount of money you spent on the program. It's the inputs or the investment that you're making in people. It's important. These are important data because they do represent the investment, but they just don't represent the results. So what we want to do is measure success along this chain of impact that occurs as people are involved in programs, projects, and initiatives. And it sounds like many of you are already doing it. You know, we collect this reaction data, what participants think about a program, or what participants or think about a project in which they're involved. That initial perception, do they view it as relevant to them? Do they view it as important to them? Are they buying into it? And if that's the first indicator that people will actually do something with what they learned, is whether or not they're buying in. Do they even agree that this is the right direction? So we need to capture these data as we're implementing programs so that we can ensure that we get their buy-in, that we do position it as relevant to their job or relevant to whatever their needs are. Learning data are important. Learning data tell us the extent to which people know what it is they need to know to do what we want them to do. They either have the skill, they have the knowledge, they have the insight. So if you're training someone to do a job, we want to make sure they have the skill to do it or the knowledge to do it. Maybe if it's a leadership program, part of changing the behavior of leaders is giving them some insight about themselves and insight about others. So learning can be knowledge, skill, information, insight. It can even be people that you meet. So when we have programs that involve networking, you know, who are you meeting? Who are you meeting that can help you in the future? Or who are you meeting that you can help in the future? So learning is really important. Reaction data tell us people are willing to do what we want them to do. Learning data tell us people are able to do it. Application data tell us the extent to which people are doing it. So this is the follow-up evaluation to see if people are applying the knowledge, skill, information, and insight that we want them to, and if they're applying it the way we want them to. So here at application, we may look at behavior change. We may look at actions completed, at processes implemented, at performance or procedures that are implemented. The key is, are people doing what we want them to do? We also capture data that describe for us the barriers and enablers to their doing it. At level 3, we're looking at success of our program from a system perspective. Is the system supporting the implementation of the knowledge, skill, information, and insight the way we want them to? Because what we know after all these years of evaluating programs, we know that if you don't get impact and you don't get ROI, a lot of times it's because the system did not support it. Now, level 4, many of you are already doing this. Level 4 is answering the question, okay, so what? People are applying knowledge, skill, and information. So what? How is that improving measures of output, quality, cost, time, customer satisfaction, job satisfaction, work habits, and innovation? How much of that improvement in those KPIs is due to the program and not something else? So at level 4, we're not only evaluating to see if those key performance measures improved, but we're also assessing to see if in fact it was the program that led to that improvement. That's why we call it impact. How much of that improvement, given the improvement, how much is due to the program and not something else? And this is, again, where many of you are already working at that impact level. Then when we get to ROI, all we do here is convert the improvement in those impact measures to money and compare it to the cost. Impact and ROI represent cost benefit analysis fundamentally. We can technically conduct impact or evaluation and ROI analysis without the other levels of data, but we need those other levels of data. So technically it can be done. But my PhD is actually in international development, and I studied cost benefit analysis in depth as part of the doctoral program. And what the economists would tell us, and all the economics literature and the economists with whom we worked, what they tell us is impact and ROI is really important, but it's only telling part of the story. Talking about ROI in isolation of all these other measures is insufficient because it's only one part. So while technically we can focus on KPIs, we can focus on ROI, we still need these lower levels of data because they tell us how we got to the impact in ROI. And more importantly, they tell us what we need to do to improve the program to get a higher ROI in the future. So multiple ways in which we can measure success of our programs and projects. So first math problem, okay? And because all of you are doing evaluation to impact and some of you to ROI, you should get this first math problem correct. So Kamal, this is a learning assessment about to take place. When we talk about ROI, there are many measures of economic value add. There's internal rate of return, there's return on equity, there's return on assets, there's net present value, a long list. There are also the benefit cost ratio, BCR, and ROI as reported as a percentage. These two measures are the most fundamental of all economic indicators because you can use them with anything. You know, return on equity is important. It's a special use metric. It's used when you're comparing net income to shareholder value. So it's special use. Benefit cost ratio and ROI can be used with anything, and that's why we like them. So the benefit cost ratio, we like to show you both of these because sometimes there's confusion where what we really report is this ROI, but we do like to show both. So benefit cost ratio is the output of cost benefit analysis. Cost benefit analysis is grounded in welfare economics, public finance. All organization leaders and managers of resources get cost benefit analysis. To get there, we're going to take the improvement in those impact measures, convert them to money, annualize it, and that gets us the program benefits. So the annual program benefits in monetary value compared to the fully loaded cost of the program. The output is a ratio. ROI, on the other hand, considers the net program benefits. So it's like earnings compared to investment, but it's the net benefits. We take the monetary benefits, and then we're going to subtract the cost of the program and then divide it by the cost of the program. That's going to get us the net benefits. And then we multiply it by 100, which gives us the percentage. So again, they're related, but they're different. Benefit cost ratio is a government metric. ROI comes from business and finance. Again, related, but different. So let's take a look real quick. Your first math problem for this very short webinar. We have a program that we implemented, and it saved our organization $750,000. And it only cost the organization $425,000. What is the BCR and what is the ROI? Pop it in your chat. Okay, and don't be bashful, just pop it in. If it's not right, it's not right. You get credit for trying. So BCR and ROI. I'm gonna sit here and wait. Come on, Nader. If you either of you have music, you want to sing, you want to have a conversation, but we're gonna wait here until somebody pops a number in there. Thank you, Rashid. All right, 1.77. All right, someone else. I always have to see it twice. And then Rashid, if you'll calculate the ROI to go with that, so you can see the difference. All right, I need an ROI, and I needed somebody else to verify. Trust but verify when it comes to math. Okay, thank you, Nadia. Okay, very good. All right, good job, guys. That's very good. All right, give yourselves a round of applause. Those of you who had 177 for the BCR, close enough, right? Just a penny off. And that's usually due to rounding, so close enough. So good job. So our benefit cost ratio is 1.76 to 1, and then the ROI is 76%. So what does, if you have a benefit cost ratio of 1.76 to 1, what does that tell you? You can open your mic or you can put it in the chat. What does it tell you? If you were to see a benefit cost ratio of 1.76 to 1, what would that tell you? Anyone? Put it in the chat, open up your mic.
I know the answer, but I don't want to answer.
I'm sorry?
I know the answer, of course.
Yes, you do. So yes. Okay. So yeah, I love that. So it's a good percentage, right? That's right. Okay. So the BCR is telling us for every $1 we invest, we get $1.76 back in gross benefits. So the cost is still here in the $1.76. So you're getting $1.76 back. The ROI is telling us for every $1 we invest, we get the dollar back plus an additional 76 cents. It's a 76% return on the investment. So again, your BCR is gross benefits, your ROI is the net. So the ROI is what we get over and beyond the investment we make. So it's the extra. And so yes, if we compare this to what we often get from investments, we are probably doing okay. We're probably doing fine. Now, where we see some confusion is someone may take the BCR, the 750 divided by the 425. That gets you the 1.76. But then what people will sometimes do is multiply 1.76 times 100 and then report 176% return on investment. Do you see a problem with that? Does anyone see a problem with this? So they're taking the benefit cost ratio, 1.76, multiplying it by 100, and they're saying, we got 176% return on investment. Yes, Nadia, it is a real problem because you didn't. you got a 76% return on investment. So we don't want you to do that. Okay, don't do that. There's no shortcuts. Benefit cost ratio is gross benefits. ROI is net. So let's not do that. It's easy to do it because, you know, just forget that we have to do the net. That's right. They'll be happy for a short term, but they're going to realize soon that it's not 176% return on investment. Okay, so that's the formula. So different ways we can measure success of our programs. There's a chain of impact that occurs as people are involved. They react, they gain knowledge, they apply it. As a result, we see improvement in those KPIs. And we know that improvement is due to our program because we're going to take a step to isolate the effects of the program. Then we just annualize the change of performance, convert it to money, compare it to the cost, and here's your ROI. All pretty easy. Now, let's see how you do with these levels. Many of you said you're all into OKRs, objectives and key results. So if you write a good objective, the key results should be embedded in there anyway, right? So objectives tell us what we're going to measure, and they tell us what success looks like. So all I want you to do, this is practice on those levels with those levels of evaluation. So if you would grab a paper, unless, you know, you can do it on your computer too, but I'm going to show you 10 objectives. However well or poorly written these objectives are, they are objectives for programs. All I want you to do is on your piece of paper, write down what level of objective each of these represent, or what level of evaluation you would take to determine if you achieve the objective. So it will either be level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I'll give you one hint. There is only one level 5 on the list. So just take your piece of paper, jot it down. We'll give you just a moment to do it, and then we will reveal the answers. Someone put me on mute for 1 second while you do that. And Andy, if you will let me know when about I don't know, maybe 90 seconds is up, that would be great. I'm assuming, Andy, you're still out there. I'm not sure. Thank you. So will you let me know when 90 seconds is up? So they have time to do. Thank you very much. Andy, how are we doing on time? Is that it? 90 seconds? All right. Okay, is everyone ready? Okay, pop a yes in the chat if you are ready to go. Okay. Decrease citizen complaints by 20% in
4.
1 year. Very good. 4 it is. I love it. Yes, we need that enthusiasm and the accuracy. So, all right, use problem solving skills to uncover product defects. You got 3. I gave you that one. That was 3. What about be able to demonstrate the 5 steps to calm an upset customer? Real quick, either chat or out loud, quick. Be able to demonstrate 5 steps to calm an upset customer. 2 it is. Good job. Rate the facilitator 4 out of 5 on presentation skills. Quick. Pop it in the chat, say it out loud. Very good. That would be a level 1 objective. Good job, team. All right, what about number 5? Decrease the amount of time required to develop a proposal. Decrease. Good job. Nice. That would be a 4. You've implemented a new proposal process. People know how to use it. They're applying it. As a result, you've decreased time to get the job done. Now, number 6, you should all have this one. Achieve a 20% ROI 1 year after program implementation. See how quickly they come. Very good. That's a 5. Okay, what about number 7? Perceive the content to be relevant to their situation. And they're targeting a 4.5 out of 5. Perceive the content to be relevant to their situation. What level? What level is number 7? Okay, we got a 3. Anyone else? 1, 3. Anyone else?
4.
Okay, we got a 4. Thank you very much. All right. This one would be perceive the content to be relevant to their situation is a 1. And the reason is all we're doing is measuring their perception of it in terms of the relevance to their job. So we're not measuring what they're learning. We're not measuring what they know. We're not measuring what they're doing with what they know, or the impact of what they're doing. It is just, we just want to know, what do you think? Is it relevant to the job? Sometimes because we have a target here, it throws people off, but technically all of your objectives should have targets, because the intent is to evaluate your program to see if in fact you met the objective. And the only way we know if we met the objective is if we have a target to compare. So that would be a 1. All right. I'm sorry, I gave you that one. Decrease security breaches by 25%. Did you all get 4 on that one? Yeah, looks like everyone got 4 on that. Okay. What about 9? Conduct a proper investigation using the 7-step process in 95 of complaint situations. Thanks. So 3, anyone else? 2? Anyone else? 1. All right, this would be a 3. So you've implemented a new investigation process and you want to follow up to see if people are using this 7-step process in 95% of situations. So you're following up to see if in fact they are applying what they learned. So that would be a 3. Okay, number 10, score an average of 75 or better on the new strategy quiz. What do we have? 2, 2. Anyone else? Don't be shy. 2. Anyone else? All right, that would be 2. All right, so you might jot those down real quick. Here we're just testing knowledge, skill, information, insight. All right, so just a little matching exercise. Did anyone get them all correct? 100% correct. Anyone get them all correct? Not counting Nader and Kamal and Andy. I know.
In paper, yes, me, but I written 1, 2, but I written in my paper 3.
Okay. All right. All right. I'm seeing 7 out of 10 looks like it's the norm. We're 2, 7 out of 10. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad. So some people will say, well, you know, why do we care if it's a level 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? Why do we care if it's level? And again, we care because those objectives and key results, right? The objectives, they are really the guide for us to design good programs, but they also guide us in the evaluation process. They are central to connecting the evaluation of a program and the needs of the organization. So they help ensure we're capturing the right measures. So this is the alignment model for those of you who've not seen it. I know some have, but if we look here, those objectives are right there in the middle. They're really holding this whole thing together. In the ideal world, before we ever implement a program, we get clear on the needs for the program. And the needs do not start with what people need to learn. The needs do not start with what people need to do, but the needs begin with why people need to do it. What is the opportunity for the organization to make money, save money, avoid cost, do greater good while making money, saving money, and avoiding cost? So in the ideal world, we start up at the top and identify that opportunity for the organization or the problem the organization needs to solve. So that could be, it could be quality. You could say, we are spending millions and millions of dollars on poor quality. That would be your payoff need. The business need would then define what you mean. What about quality? Define it. Quality of what? Is it number of rejects? Maybe it's the number of false rejects of perfectly good syringes, whatever the measure is. So your payoff need is really looking at the value of addressing the business need. And here we start really defining that problem. And then we sort out, well, what is happening or not happening that if we changed it could help us improve the business measure and then reduce the cost or make the profit, whatever the payoff is. And this is where we start having fun. So where we look at interviews and focus groups and nominal group technique, or we may use organization network analysis, or maybe we just go interview people to see what needs to change in order to improve it. And it's through that process, assessing performance needs, that we determine what the best solution is. And then we sort out, okay, given the solution and what people need to do, what is it that people need to learn that they don't know now, that if they knew it, could help them do whatever it is we want them to do, so we can improve the business measure and take advantage of the payoff opportunity. And then we sort out, okay, how can we best roll it out? How can we best deliver it to them so they learn what they need to know, so they can do what we want them to do, so we can improve the business measures and take advantage of the payoff opportunity. And then input needs is just who's involved in it. So the input needs is really the project planning, who's involved, how much we're going to spend, where it's going to take place. So in the ideal world, we never even invest in the program until we're sure on why. We work through this process, and then the objectives quantify the needs. So your objectives are actually putting the measurement to the needs, so we can take a measurement, so we can evaluate it. Your objectives need to be SMART. They need to be measurable. They need to be achievable. They need to be relevant to the needs of the organization and time bound. So our objectives have those specific measures that reflect the outcomes we're trying to achieve. We have measures and we have targets. And then in the ideal world, you design your program with these objectives in mind. So by having clear, specific objectives, clear, specific OKRs, you will not only have a better program, but all you have to do on the evaluation is go collect data to see if in fact you achieve the results. You have much easier evaluation. So it all begins with clear assessment. Left side of the V is your assessment. Answering the question, why are we implementing this program? The middle part represents the measurement or the quantification of the needs. Answering the question, how are we going to design the program project process, and how are we going to measure success? So the middle part answers the how, and the right side answers the question, what? What are the results that come from this solution? And then we compare our evaluation results to the targets and the objectives to see if in fact we achieve them. So we're aligning our programs with the needs of the organization, and we're making our evaluation much easier because we have clearly defined objectives. So again, objectives are central. Another way to look at this alignment is through the process model. 12 easy steps, as I said, to get to ROI. Those first 3 steps in the process start with why, make it feasible, expect success. These represent the assessment and the objectives. So the left side of the V and the middle part of the V, that's these first 3 steps. And then the evaluation is just a matter of collecting data using surveys or interviews or action plans or focus groups to collect data to see, do people view the content as relevant? Do they know what it is they need to know? And then we follow up to see if in fact people are applying what they learned and if those impact measures improved. Then we're just going to analyze the data. And all we have to do here is isolate the effects of the program. Here we might use control group, trendline analysis, mathematical modeling, or the estimation process. But we're going to use a way or a technique to answer the question, how much of the improvement in the impact measure is due to the program and not something else? Now, if you stopped your evaluation right here, right after step 6, if you stopped it here, you would have a very good impact evaluation. All of your measures would be intangible because they're not converted to money, but you would have a really good story here. To get to ROI, all you have to do is convert measures to money, bring in the cost, calculate the ROI, and then for those measures we don't convert to money, report as an intangible. And then report it out. Tell your story and use the data to improve the program. So I'm going to pause here because I see that we have a question. Yes, your question. Do we have a question? I cannot hear, and if you're asking the question, I can't hear you. Or if you want to pop it in chat, either way. Kamal, can you help up? Yes.
يا أستاذ سلطان، تقدر هل أفضل لك إنك يعني تتكلم أفضل من الكتابة، ولا عندك مشكلة في الكتابة؟ أستاذ سلطان، تسمعني؟
Yes, Mr. Kamal. Are you talking to me?
Go ahead. Yes. I mean, if it's easier for you to ask a question verbally, it's maybe it's much easier than writing it. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my question was the increased number of employment or salary or revenue, does it considered as ROI or impact?
Great question. It would be considered impact until you compare it to the cost of the program, and then it would be ROI.
So it's always impact until it's linked to the cost.
That's correct. Great question.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
great question. But and here's why. You might say that you have increased revenue, let's just say, as a result of the program. So you're right here. You're saying right here, we've isolated the effects of the program, and we can say with confidence that we have increased sales or we have reduced turnover and saved the company money. So you've got your isolation and then you've converted it to money. It's still impact. Now it's moving toward ROI, but it's still impact because there's a next question. And that question is, what did you pay for it? So if we say, okay, we've saved the organization money by, reducing $750,000. So we've converted it to money. You've saved $750,000. The next question is, well, what did it cost you to save that $750,000? Well, if it cost you only $425,000, you have a positive ROI. But if it cost you $1 million, now you have a negative. So that money at the level 4, we're still going to, that data conversion right here, we're still going to be at that level 4 because we've got one more question, and that ROI answers that complete question. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you very much. Because
You
I'm
do.
in an organization to help entrepreneurs and SMEs in the kingdom to grow, okay, and number of employment, number of SMEs in the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Okay, so all our initiatives, you mean if I'm talking about the ROI, that mean all what I paid for an specific initiative, let's say, I can measure the ROI based on maybe the impact KPIs, let's say.
That's it. That's correct. So you've grown all these SMEs and you have all these, new employers or employees, and that's good. And you first isolate it to what you're doing. So whatever efforts that you're doing there in the kingdom, you can say, because of us, we have increased this number of jobs or SMEs. Okay, what's that worth? So it could be tax, it could be any number of things, right? So what's that worth? And then you have to think, okay, how much did it cost us to do that? That gets you onto the ROI. So that chain of impact that I was talking about earlier, the chain of impact, it is telling that complete story of program success. It is answering every possible question that could be asked, including what's it worth. So, but
So
even
I think
if
it's always sorry for interrupting you.
no, go ahead.
I think it's always hard to measure and the impact for a specific initiative. Usually when we take more than one initiative, then we can measure like one impact KPI, let's say contribution to GDP or something like this, or increasing in SME salary or their share in government procurement, let's say, something like this. So more than maybe 3 initiatives will contribute to one impact.
Yes.
Is it the case?
Yes. And so that's why that's why we take this step 6 to isolate the effects of the program. So then you have to sort out, okay, how much of the impact is due to, one initiative or 2 initiatives. And if you are all ever interested, if you'll just let, Kamal know, I'm happy to do a webinar just on this step, because it is so important. Because when you're trying to allocate resources, you need to know how much did this initiative contribute versus another initiative. And then you can decide, do you put more resources in one versus the other? But that is probably the most important question asked, is the one you're asking is, you have 3 initiatives tackling the same thing. How much of each initiative contributed? If you need to know that answer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how to isolate the impact of one initiative to another. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So happy to do a webinar just on that topic if you're ever interested.
I think this is very, very important. Yes.
Yep. Perfect. So, and yes, Nadia.
Great, yeah.
Yes. So Kamal, you heard it here. So maybe we'll schedule a session just on isolation.
Sure. If you have the time, no problem, of course.
Oh, happy to do it. We'll just make sure that there's no time zone thing happening.
Okay.
So,
Right.
and Nadia, to your point, yes, you're right. Some initiatives will go to impact, and that's good enough. Sometimes it's good enough to do that, but sometimes you really want to know, well, what is it really worth to us? And those will take on to ROI. So in the end, the process, well, this is the standard. So the process, in any process that you use, you want to make sure you follow a set of standards. The standards ensure that we are consistent with the assumptions we make. So how we collect the data, from whom we collect the data. As you see here, one of the standards is we are always going to take a step to isolate the effects of the program, because we have to answer that question: how much of the improvement is due to this program versus something else? So keeping it conservative and keeping it credible is important. And in the end, we're telling that complete story of program success. We invested in this program. Participants viewed it as relevant. They learned what they needed to know. They're applying it. We saw improvement in those KPIs, and we know that improvement is due to our program because we took a step to isolate the effects of the program. We converted this measure to money, brought in the cost. Here's the ROI. And oh, by the way, here are the intangible benefits, those benefits we chose not to convert to money. All of these data lead us toward demonstrating the ultimate value of our programs. They also tell us how we can improve that value by making a few adjustments. So again, if you want to go to impact and ROI, you can do that. That is classic cost benefit analysis. It's been done for centuries. But if you want to know how you got to that ROI, if you want to know how you can improve that ROI, then we need the rest of the story. The good news is that you can build it all in. It doesn't have to be hard. For a lot of people, it's so daunting. You can build it in. And today, in an environment where we have so much online learning and hybrid learning, leveraging technology to help us collect the data is much easier than in the past. Now, not to your point about some programs go to impact, some go to ROI. Not everything is going to be evaluated to either. So impact and ROI analysis is really for those big, expensive initiatives. They're strategic, they're directly related to the goals of the community or the organization. Senior executives are interested in seeing impact and ROI. Again, they're expensive, big audience that you're targeting. So these are just some things to think about when you think about which programs we want to evaluate to impact an ROI. Okay, I know we're late because we were late starting. Does anyone want to work one more math problem with me? I'm going to go through this case real quick. Do we have time? Yes, those of you who can, stay with us. Let's just do one more math problem. Okay. I see this enthusiasm. Yes, thank you, Nadia, enthusiastic. So, okay, so here's our case study. This is one of the case studies that you'll receive in the portal. So in this case study is a healthcare organization. They had a real problem with hostile work environment. So they had to make some change. They had a lot of turnover and a lot of complaints. They solved the problem with a very simple and inexpensive solution. So it started with a 2-day workshop with their senior most executives describing the policy they had around this behavior, describing the consequences, and teaching them some things that they could do differently. Those senior executives then shared that information with their direct reports in a routine staff meeting. So it didn't cost any more money. The money was really with that 2-day workshop. They rolled it out in routine staff meetings, so everyone learned what they needed to know. But the big cost was just in a 2-day workshop. So a lot of times, folks, you can solve big problems with very inexpensive, effective solutions, and you'll see what happens when that happens. So they collected the level 1 data at the end of the program. This is the 2-day workshop with a questionnaire. They had some skill assessment. They followed up to see if the leaders of the organization were doing what they needed to do. They used a sample of their employee survey. They did a big employee survey, but they only sampled 25% of the employees to see if these hostile behaviors had changed. And then their level 4 data were complaints and turnover. And so they just used the company records to collect those 12 months after the program. Their isolation techniques, they used trendline analysis to isolate the effects of the program on the reduction in complaints. And they used a forecasting model to isolate the impact of the program on employee turnover. To convert measures to money, they used historical cost and some input from their HR people to convert complaints to money. And then they used external studies to convert turnover to money. The program only cost $277,987. So that's your denominator. So go ahead and write that down. So that's your cost, $277,987. They reduced complaints by 14.8 for the year, and each complaint cost them $24,343,000. So just all you have to do is multiply the 14.8 times the 24,343. That's the first input into your numerator. So that's the value of reducing complaints. And then turnover, the second measure was they prevented 136 turnovers for the year. Each turnover cost them $20,887. So if you prevent 136 for the year, multiply that times 20,887. So I will give you just a moment to do the math, and it's going to be a big ROI. Okay, so don't be surprised. But I'm going to give you just a minute to do the math, and we'll see what you get, and then we're going to let you guys go end your day. So again, cost of the program was $277,987. The benefits of the program based on complaints, they reduced complaints 14.8. Each complaint cost $24,343. And they also reduced turnover by 136, and each turnover cost $20,887. So complaints and turnover will go in the numerator. And then you subtract the cost in the numerator and then divide it by the cost. So complaints and turnover numerator, and then $277,987 is your cost. So we'll just give you time and efforts may cost much additional cost. What do you think? So time and effort of implementing the solution. Yes, and that is captured here in your cost. Great point. The cost of the program includes not just the facilitation and the materials, but the time of people involved in the program, and whatever time outside their normal, routine, whatever time and effort they're putting into place here. Plus, another point is the cost of the evaluation. So anything you spend on evaluation goes into the denominator. And that's why we say don't overdo it with evaluation. An ROI study should only cost you 5 to 10% of program cost. Otherwise, you may get a negative ROI just because you spent too much money on evaluation. All right, so we've got a BCR of 11.5 to 1. Okay, what would that ROI be? We have one BCR in there. So what's our ROI going to be? If we have an 11.5 to 1 BCR, what is the ROI? Don't overthink it. It's right there. Close. Yes, it is close to 1,000. Does anyone want to pop it in? Ah, very good. There you go. Guys, 1,051%. Huge. That is a huge ROI, folks. We just don't see those very often. But again, they had a big problem that they could solve with a very inexpensive solution. So 1000% ROIs is not the norm. In fact, we see way more negative ROIs than we do positive here. 25% is a good ROI for the typical program intended to solve organizational problems. But sometimes if it's, if the problem costs enough money and you can reduce it or solve it with an inexpensive solution, you'll see these big ROIs. So nice job, folks. All right, the thing always to remember when it comes to demonstrating value for money and demonstrating results, hope is not a strategy, luck is not a factor, doing nothing is not an option, folks. Change is inevitable, progress is up to us. Start where you are with this. You don't have to get to ROI, get to impact and isolate the effects of your programs on those KPIs, building credibility around your impact measurement, and then take it to ROI a little bit later. So that's what I have for you guys. I'm here. I can stay for questions if you have any more questions. And again, so sorry about time zone change here in the US. We just didn't capture it on the calendar, but I'm happy to be here. And do let Kamal know if you want a session either on isolating the effects of the program, or if you want a session just on data conversion, converting measures to money. We're happy to do that for you guys anytime. So with that, Kamal, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Patti, for this wonderful webinar, for wonderful presentation and materials. We'll have some time for question and answer. If you have any question, please raise your hand, and we'll take questions one by one. You can also write in the chat box if you want. You can either ask if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question. No issues as well. Go ahead.
I think someone, so yes, the PowerPoint will be in the portal. So if you'll access the resources that Andy is providing, the PowerPoint should be in there. And then in terms of upcoming events, Kamal, how do you let everyone know you can go to our website for our upcoming events. So Andy can share that as well. And then Kamal for the community there. I don't know how you promote to everyone else, but.
Yeah, I've said that mentioned that in the beginning of the webinar, I think before you logged in. So we have a certification program from the 10th to the 15th of December. We're going to announce it and going to send it to you as well, send the ads and the brochure to you. And if you have, if you are interested, please, you can register and you'll be our guest, of course. Does anybody has any question?
How to start a proper ROI team? That's a great question. About how to begin that. And actually, that may be another session we want to do just on the measurement strategy. There are some organizations, they have one person as their ROI team. There are others where it's a full, complete team, but it really start with looking at what programs and solutions you offer. Consider your alignment process. So do you have, who's doing your needs assessment, who's doing your program design, and then your evaluation. Sometimes it can be the same people, but sometimes you need different people doing it. The key is to align them. So if you think about that V model that we looked at, use the V model not only as a way to align your programs with the business, but a way to align your function. Because sometimes what we'll see is there's an evaluation team, but they're not talking to the team doing the performance consulting or the needs assessment. Well, they need to talk so that up front, the performance consultants know what questions to ask to ensure that the designers and developers get the right measurement so they can design with the end in mind, but so the evaluation team knows what to look for. So start by looking at what you currently have and maybe think about using that alignment model as a way to frame your function. And then do your capability check. Hey, Andy, as part of that portal, will you add, there's a document about developing your measurement strategy. I don't think we have it in there now, but if you'll add that, because I think that would be helpful to that question about setting up the team.
Okay.
Yeah, so Andy will take care of that.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that the our coming certification program will be bilingual. That is, the materials will be in English, and the delivery will be in Arabic. It will be delivered by our friend Nader Bashini. He's the manager of ROI Middle East and North Africa. Nader, would you like to add something? If you are with us.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Yes. So definitely. So we're gonna have the certification program in December. It will be bilingual. We have a lot of case study in Arabic. So especially for the MENA region, we have a lot of organization implementing the ROI. So it will be a practical workshop. So it's not theory. There are a lot of case study, a lot of tools that prepare you for implementing the ROI methodology and principles in your organization. So it's going to be very interactive and very useful for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, if you want to build capability in this process, certification is the best way to do that. So, and Eder and Kamal will do an amazing job.
All right. Okay, so since I think no questions except those who ask in the chat box, so we'd like to thank you, Patti, for your time for this wonderful webinar, and thank also our attendees, and hope that we'll see you again shortly. And I'm going to send you the recording, the link for the recording, and the whatever. I think you have the access to the ROI portal. You can access. There are a lot of materials there. If you need my help, please just call me or write to me, and we'll see you again, hopefully. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thanks,
Patti.
everyone.
Have a good afternoon and or good morning there, and good night to the rest of our attendees.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.